Can I ask you a
Thank
question?
you. Go ahead.
How did you come across my Instagram?
I came across your Instagram by the way we find our guests. It's just like, so you photographer, probably filmmaker. Maybe you use like a hashtag for, I look up photographers, I look up filmmakers, I look up musicians, basically just people. You basically, man, I found you because you're on the internet, right? So the way I see it and the way I tell people is, if you want to get discovered, or even if you don't, you're gonna get discovered on the internet. Like, you're gonna get found. You're there. You just happen to, it's like a slot machine, really. It was the right place, right time. You must have posted something at a specific time, and then I found it, and then I said, this is cool work, and I reached out to you. And
That's dope.
absolute by Ransom.
That's cool. I appreciate it.
Yo, what's happening, you guys? So I'm here with the artist SIMBALIC. His name is Elijah, and he's a legend coming out of Tennessee. He's a photographer. Check him out, you guys. What's happening, Elijah?
Hey, how you doing? Thanks for having me.
So in Tennessee, how do you pronounce the place? Clarksville?
Clarksville, yeah.
Clarksville.
Yeah.
Nice. Born and raised?
I was born in New York, but I've been here since I was 2 or 3 years old, so it's home.
Born in New York, man. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. I miss it.
Your parents were from New York, and then they moved out, or they were living there and they had you, and then they kind of moved out?
My parents are actually from the islands. And so I guess when my grandparents moved to the United States, they were in New York first, and then my mom was there, and then my uncle was in the military, and then he came down, and then my mom kind of came down with him. So
nice, man.
Yeah.
And so you for the most part were raised in Tennessee, Clarksville.
Yeah.
Nice, man. Nice. How was growing up out there? What was it like?
It's quiet. I mean, there's not too much to it. I mean, right now it's growing. It's a military town, so it's a lot of back and forth in and out of people. But,
how far are you from Nashville? How far is that?
45 minutes to an hour.
What do you shoot with right now currently? What are you shooting? You shooting film or DSLR?
DSLR. Film is something I want to get into, but I feel like it's such a headache. I really need to just like have time to sit down and focus and learn it. I would love to do it. It's just one of those things I just haven't gotten around to yet.
It's very time consuming and stuff, It's like, at the same time, I respect that whole world, but sometimes, there's a big universe in DSLR as well. You can't really say, if you're not shooting on film, that doesn't, at the end of the day, if you're a storyteller who wants to tell a story and you can capture that story in that moment with the DSLR, even right. with the iPhone, obviously I don't prefer an iPhone because I myself am, you know what I mean? But you see a lot of people, they'll take a picture and they'll be like, that's a moment. And we might giggle, but in some ways, because I myself, I'm a filmmaker, and I'm like, hold on, you kind of take a step back. You're like, is that a moment? But people are capturing a lot of moments now, even with just phones. So
right.
It's the moment, but there's a lot to say about a tasty visual presentation as well. You know what I mean? Exactly. Are you a storyteller? Are you a filmmaker primarily? Is that that's what you're doing out here? You're trying to tell a story?
I would like to say I definitely like the storytelling aspect of it. I've wanted to get into doing video as well. There's another one of those things, just time. It's like I spend so much time in photography. It's like I have to stop everything completely to then move to video. But I would say I like to take a lot of things that you see in movies and those type of elements and try to bring them into my photography.
Now, what made you want to just start a profile and say, I'm going to document my photography and my work? Is it the background you grew up in where you were able to see a lot of great environments? Because I imagine when you grew up, it's not a big city town like where we're at in Hollywood, where all we see is street posts and old buildings and, not a lot of cool, but maybe when you're, was it your surroundings? What was it where you said, I'm going to start to capture moments, take pictures of stuff?
When I was growing up, before like the internet or whatever, my dad would get my mom like camcorders and cameras and computers and phones and stuff. And it's like, he would tell me, hey, just learn how to use this so you can show your mother how to use this later. And so as time went on, I ended up just being like the family photographer. So when we go to the zoo or to like out of town or anything, I was the one taking the pictures of the family and doing the videos. My little brother was playing football, so I was doing all those things. So I kind of like early on I was teaching myself, and then I got to high school, and I really liked to draw, but then I got into a class where there was kids that also liked to draw really well, and I just was not that great. So my teacher at the time was like, "Hey, you can use this camera. Our next few projects are going to be photography based, so just take this and just do what you do with it or whatever." So
Right,
I
right.
would say that was the start, and then
So you were given a camera. Somebody gave you the opportunity. Someone said, "You know what? Just take this and use this." That's pretty cool.
right, right. It started with my dad and then my professor, and then after that, I was like, it was something I liked to do, but I didn't think I would make it a career or anything. It was just like I've always been into art and drawing. Like when I was in New York, I used to love the street art, like the graffiti, and just seeing seeing what people could do with just paint or whatever. So
What
from
is it
there, I
about
just always
street
had a
art
love for
that?
visuals.
Sorry to interrupt you. What is it about the street art that drew you to liking it? Because we have a lot of that as well out here on the streets.
Mm.
And that's what I saw and grew up around too. I live in
Yeah,
Hollywood, but I didn't grow up around Hollywood. And what you see, even in Hollywood, is a lot of street art, and a lot of people like it, a lot of people don't, and a lot of it has meaning that we don't even understand. I have people who are next to me and they'll see something, and it might just have like an eyeball with a little streak on it. And
yeah,
he's like, "Oh, you know what? That's X, Y, and Z. This
mm,
guy, he does this and that." And I think it's so crazy that with a guy, just his work or what he presents, there's a whole story behind it. What is that? Like, what
right.
I see it and I respect it, but what is it to it? Is it the man behind it? Is it that whole element of mystery?
I would say it's the mystery about it. You see it all the time, but you never see them actually do it, and then you never know who actually did it. Like Banksy is one of my favorite artists, just because the stuff that he does is really simple, but it's just like, when do you have time to do these type of things, and when do you have what thought process were you in to create this thing that now people are love, and then you'll pay millions of dollars for it. So in New York, seeing that kind of stuff, I just was like, I wonder, how much time did you put into this piece before you actually put it up and said, this is where I want it to be, and this is how I want to represent myself. So yeah, the storytelling and definitely the mystery of it.
Now, for you, are you primarily trying to focus on photography and video photography? Where are you at right now? Are you trying to just be a jack of all trades with your department? Because there's a whole world of opportunity with what you could do. Can you walk me through your photography, your entire process of what you're putting out? You work as a photographer as well. You do editorials, you do headshots, you do things of that nature. But there's also there's the artist behind you. How do we
Mm.
pronounce your artist's name, by the way?
Um,
Symbolic.
Symbolic, yeah,
Symbolic. All
yeah.
right. All right. Cool, man. All right. So check them out, you guys. So welcome. So first, let's do an introduction. So Clarksville, Nashville,
Hmm.
Clarksville, Tennessee,
Hmm.
Clarksville, Tennessee, and I can introduce you as Elijah or in Symbolic. What would you prefer, Elijah,
Either
photographer
one.
who? How about Elijah goes under the photography name Symbolic? Or is that cool? You like that? Or
That's
is
cool.
that a
Yeah,
little
cool.
too?
That's cool.
All right, cool, man. Cool. All right, you guys. So, welcome everyone. So, I'm here with the artist Symbolic. His name is Elijah. He's coming out of Clarksville, Tennessee. How's it going, Elijah?
I'm good. How you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm living the dream. It's an absolute pleasure to get to speak with you today.
Thank you.
So, you're a photographer coming out of Tennessee. Tennessee's a great place to start taking pictures of stuff.
Yes, sir.
You know, you, you
Go
know,
ahead. I'm
taking.
sorry.
What are you shooting with right now? Currently, what's your current setup looking like?
I shoot with what do I shoot with? A Nikon D800, and my
Ooh,
lenses right now have a 35, 24 to 70, and an 85 that I just kind of interchange.
So two primes and then a zoom. So what is
Yeah.
this weaponry selection? Why is this choice of weaponry yours? You got the 35, the 24 to 70, and then the
Mhm.
85.
Yeah.
These are your weapons
So
of choice.
the 85 mostly for headshot portrait type stuff. That's actually the first lens I had. So shooting
Was that by
shooting
choice or did you stumble across it? Did somebody tell you get the 85? Did you do some research? Because somebody would have got a 50, right? Maybe like a 50 for a portrait. You went for the 85.
See, I wanted a 50, but the 85, I think somebody was telling me I should get the 85 because at the time I was just doing like headshot stuff. So I got the 85, and then I realized I have to be like this far away from people to shoot if I wanted to shoot outside or whatever. So the 24 to 70, when I was in school, I used to rent that a lot, and it gave me the range to be able to shoot outside and get the scene, and also kind of come close and get a portrait at the same time. And then the 35 was one of my very first lenses I had on my first camera years ago. And when I used to do a lot of street photography, and that was perfect. I can get just the right amount of the scene while also getting my subject in it without it being this big landscape image. So yeah, that's my thinking. I just kind of whatever the shoot kind of calls for, I feel like I have it in those three lenses.
You have everything you need.
Right.
If you could get another lens that you just wanted to, you know what, I just found that I just came across, you're the millionth customer of the day, here's $1 million. What would be the next lens you would want to add to your collection that you might say, hey, you know what, I might need this, I could add to this. You have what you need, but now it's like, if we were to get fancy with it, what would you bring on?
I would say,
would you invest that in filters or maybe something else? Let's say if you wanted to add on to the collection and you have what you have, let's say a photographer says, man, I got all the lenses I need. I got a little bit of dough in my pocket. I want to get another lens. Would you advise that guy to get that lens? Or would you say, you know what, maybe get like an external flash, maybe get the external flash tripods with the remote? You know, there's always different things you could do versus just getting another lens that could change the whole thing. You know what I mean? It could change the whole thing. So what do you think about that?
For me, I've always worked with what I had. So when I had an 85 and I couldn't get my hands on a 50 or a 35, it's like, okay, well, this is what you got, just make it work. So if I gave anybody advice, I'd be like, you know, if you absolutely need it, get it. If you don't need it, then look at everything else that you could possibly need. You know, if you have a lens that works and it does what you need it to do, then get a flash or get a reflector or get a bigger SD card so you can shoot faster. Or the filters, I know a lot of people are doing like the kind of film, kind of soft highlight look. You know, invest in filters, and that way, you know, you can, even though you're limited in whatever lens that you have, but you're limited, but you also can extend that with filters or just different things that you can add to your arsenal already without spending $5,000 on a lens if you don't absolutely need to, you know. So
very nice. All right, you guys, coming up after our commercial break. All right, you guys, so we're back with Symbolic. He's a legendary photographer out in Tennessee. He's coming out with great work, so check him out, you guys. What's the Instagram handle? Symbolic.
The Instagram is at Symbalic, SIMBALIC.
Nice. All right, how'd you come up with that name, by the way? It's very, it's a very good name, Symbolic. I love it.
Thank you. So my favorite movie when I was growing up was The Lion King, and when I got to whatever age I was, maybe 19 or 20, I looked up what the name Simba means, and it means a strength and power in Swahili. And so I just took the word symbolic, like the representation of something, and just put Simba together. So, and then photography, so the representation of strength and power through photography. So that's kind of how I came up with it.
Wow, representation of strength and power through photography.
Yeah.
That's very awesome. What'd you think about the new movie? You like it, the live action?
I feel like when you have a classic, just leave the classic alone. I mean, it's cool to see how far Disney can go as far as like graphics and things of that nature, but the original it was perfect to me. So, but it wasn't bad. It wasn't bad.
It's like watered down coffee after a while, right? It's like you keep just passing down old coffee and then watering it down. Right. What do you think? What do you think it is? Do we need to start telling new stories? Because it seems like we just keep retelling them with that same mentality. We just keep watering down the coffee same story, just different way of being told. The graphics are nice. Maybe
Right,
maybe the younger generation is struck by the graphics, but I guess you don't know the difference if you don't actually know the difference, right? They didn't see
right,
it, we see it, but we're hearing the same stories, like you said. Keep the classic a classic.
right.
You know, the cameras are going to get much more advanced as well. You know, like we were saying, the iPhones have how many megapixels? What's the processor looking like? You know, they're getting pretty close to the DSLRs. You know, and
Right.
I don't know, is it going to be about the quality of image? Is it? What do you think? What world are we entering in at this point?
I think it's just gonna be a revolving door. I feel like every few years or every year now, it's gonna be we're doing something different, but we're gonna take this story and do that different thing with it. But there's also gonna be that community of people that says like, okay, we don't need 8K cameras to tell the story. We're gonna tell a new story in this kind of old, kind of funky way, and people are gonna like it because the story is good, and we're also gonna be able to make it visually interesting without it looking like Deadpool or or a Marvel movie or something. We can still there's still going to be people that want to tell stories that's just about the story. It's not going to be I want to reel you in with visuals and then the story has no substance. So
It needs to have substance. The story needs to have substance.
right.
What is your photography process like right now? Are you going out with friends and shooting? How are you getting out there and just being able to express your craft and work your craft?
Uh, I would say a lot of it comes through watching like movies and documentaries and listening to music. And also just like as cliche as it's gonna sound, just living. I wake up every day and I go outside and I always see something different, whether it's people or the way that the light hits the street at this certain time or the way the sunset is. It's just like I get inspired by just seeing people, colors, just space, everything. So the first thing I would do is I kind of think about words I heard in the day or something that I've seen, and I write it down. And I think about it for like the entire day, and then after that, I try to find a picture or a video that kind of matches what I wrote, and then from there, I create a mood board that's that'll help me get to my shooting process. So I have like styling on one side of the board. I have like what the pose are going to be like on this side of the board, and then I'll have locations and the time of day and things like that on the other side of the board. So when you look at it, then you have like this organized kind of spreadsheet of what the shoot will be, and then after that, I just go to the studio or wherever the location is, and I just shoot it.
So you're someone who goes about things in a very organized fashion. It sounds like you plan it out way ahead of time. You know, it's like they say, proper preparation prevents poor planning.
Exactly.
So you properly prepare, you can get into it without any stress about anything going wrong, because you might even be prepared for what's going to go wrong. So,
Right.
it's awesome that you go about things that way. You got a mood board. You look at it face forward before it even happens, and you're saying it's going to look like this. We're mapping it out, and you go from there. Was
Right.
this always how you did things? Were you always doing mood boards? You know, because we don't always start off that way. We kind of just run and gun, and then we say, you know what, time for a mood board.
It definitely. When I started, I was definitely the running gun, chasing the sun, trying to figure out everything on the fly. And there's still a little bit of that in what I do now.
There's
But
got to be.
yeah, but and then for right now, currently, I just feel like the more I prep, even if something goes wrong, if I'm prepping and I'm like I'm preparing myself to do this thing, I'm also preparing myself for if something goes wrong, so I'm not stuck. So if it decides to rain and I'm supposed to be outside, it's like okay, I can create this look inside by doing this, this, and this. I may not have that written down, but in my experience already, I know that this has happened before and you've done this before. So just take what you've learned from that experience and bring it to this one, and that way there's no downtime. Like today, for example, uh, I had a shoot in the studio, and I have three lights. I have no power cords to my lights. I let a friend borrow them, and I forgot to get them back from him. So
Mm.
I luckily just had just one just sitting around. So I ended up only being able to use one light. Now I could have panicked and told them, "Hey, I don't have anything I need to shoot. We can't shoot today." But instead, it's like, okay, it's a one light. It's a headshot. one light, just set up the one light, set up a reflector, and do what you normally do as if you have everything, and don't make it seem like you have nothing and you don't know what to do. So just always being prepared definitely helps, and it keeps my nerves, steady. So
It's kind of crazy when one thing goes wrong and you actually have a lot to look at the situation and say, you know what, we still have a lot to work with.
right,
It's very interesting when somebody can actually just take what they have and ride with that versus the people who get that tunnel vision. Like you said, you could have easily been like, nope, it's done. I can't do it. We're not doing anything.
right,
Your brain could have just let the whole operation just completely fizzle away and the whole dominoes come crashing down because you're like stressed about the whole situation.
yeah.
And you quickly were just like, you know what? We're gonna set up the reflector, the light. We're gonna make it work.
They'll
And you
make it
made it
work.
work.
And they were happy. Like they probably didn't even know what was happening, which is always good. But yeah, just staying prepared. I've learned over the years, just trial and error of everything, and I don't, instead of when bad things happen to me, instead of thinking about it as something bad that's happening to me, I just take it as a learning lesson and just add it to like my mental notebook of like, if this happens, see this page, and I go to this page in my brain. I'm like, okay, do this, and this, and then make it work.
How do you go about getting your clients right now? How are you getting your clients? Is it on mainly social media like Instagram and Facebook? Is that word of mouth? Are you somebody who's really good with just reaching out to people? Because a lot of photographers, they try to figure out methods of attaining clientele, whether it be through Instagram, through Craigslist. There's many options that you
Mhm.
never really know what to do. How do you go about that where you're located? What do you do?
Um,
You're passing around business cards, you're walking around, and some people are outside of the grocery stores handing out business cards and stuff.
oh, I am not that guy. I'll tell you right now, I am really shy and really timid, and it just that does not work for me. Uh, how I started was I would reach out to people on social media and just say, hey, like I would like to do this shoot or whatever, and then just try and build an audience of just doing trade things. And then after you build an audience, then I had business cards, and then when I would pass them out to the people that I would shoot. After that, once my work got to a point where I felt like it was good enough, I guess you could say, it would be I would post or they would post, and then it would just be a word of mouth from Instagram. So right now it's mostly just Instagram. Whenever somebody posts, or even if I post, sometimes um, I'll get a DM later that night about a shoot, or the next day I may get 2 DMs about a shoot or whatever. So right now I would say word of mouth, uh, kind of social media, and I do pass out business cards, but I don't know how to track the engagement with a business card. So I do that as well, though.
At the end of the day, Instagram is like the virtual version of business cards. And, business cards might be going out of style without us really fully acknowledging it in some ways.
Right.
Maybe not out of style, but you're doing the same thing online. You reach out to somebody, you go on Tennessee local area, and then you just reach out to locals because more people are on the internet than on their wallets looking at business cards, maybe.
Right.
So that's very nice. Very nice, man. Very cool. So, in any advertisements? Are you doing any types of like sponsored advertisements? Yeah, you touring around in that department yet, or not too much?
Not too much. I feel like where I'm at in Clarksville, the things I like to shoot and the things I like to do isn't necessarily the scene here, I guess. So what I do is I take whatever client I have, whatever shoot I'm doing, I take it as if I'm trying to be in LA, or if I'm trying to move to New York or Miami or whatever. So when people see my work, they're not looking at where I'm from. They're just looking at the quality of my work. So if you wanted me to be in New York tomorrow, I could fly to New York and do that same thing for you. If you wanted me to be in LA, I could do the same thing. So I try not to let my environment dictate what my art can be.
Absolutely. You take it beyond that because it's sort of within your mind. You're creating the world within your atmosphere. That's interesting that you know, just hearing you say that is very interesting because it's like, I see that in your work. You can easily replicate that anywhere because it's not really it's not even a replication. It's what you produce. It's your style of creation. And so that's awesome that you say that. So you stay ready so you don't have to get ready. This is what you see. This is what you see, and this is what you're going to get.
Mm-hmm.
Very nice.
Yeah. Yep.
Very nice. No, that's exciting. And so, what would be the ideal move? Would it be New York or LA, or is there
Oh
somewhere?
man.
Is there somewhere else, or is there any ideal move?
Um,
Would you want to just be somebody that travels in many different places actively? Are you somebody who's like, I don't want to stay anywhere? You want to just bounce around? You know, some people are travelers because a lot of photographers become journalists or traveling photographers, and you're just bouncing
yeah,
around places. That's pretty cool too.
I would love to do that, but I have a 5-year-old daughter in kindergarten, so I want to stay close. So I would say I would probably move to Nashville and then travel as I need to because LA has certain things about it that I love that I would love to shoot and be a part of. And New York also has that same thing, but they're also on the opposite sides of the United States. So it's like if I'm in the
Mm-hmm.
middle, I could always say, okay, I'm gonna go to New York for a week, and then in the summertime I'll do a week in LA. You know, so I'm not like stuck in one place, and I'm not too far away from family at the same
Mm-hmm.
time.
Absolutely, absolutely. You don't want to get too far away from families because family is everything.
Right.
Absolutely, and especially with social media on Instagram. Realistically speaking, why would you want to move somewhere where it's a big battlefield of people doing the exact same thing, and you sort of get into that environment, and it sort of becomes this extra stress you don't really need. You're able to just focus on your craft, put it out
Right.
there, and the same exact people who see it are going to get the same exact reaction as the same guy in Hollywood who's just putting out work who he thinks is great, but it might
Right.
not be that great. You know what I mean? It's not really. It's what you show, and with you, what you see is what you get. It's the same quality of work.
Right. And I think even just being outside of those spaces, um, when I do travel to LA or New York to shoot anything, people always say, you know, I've shot here like X amount of times, and I've never been shot in this situation in this location the way that I did it at that time. So coming from a place where it's not a big metro area or you know it's a small town and then going to a place and seeing something totally different from what you've already seen, like you live there and you've never seen it shot like this before, I feel like gives me an advantage whenever I have to go and do anything. So I try to look at it like that as well. Like, you know, I mean, we all have different set of eyes. We're always all going to see something different. But when it comes to creating art, you know, that's a whole other ball game. You're taking something that people use all the time or shoot all the time, and then making it look like something they've never seen before. So, and I take pride in that.
Very nice. And that's the exciting thing and the beautiful thing about art. It's not really your eyes, it's like your brain. It's what you're creating within that. And with the art, like you said, you know, you could have a cup and you face it in one direction or you face it in the other. Maybe you curve it a little bit, maybe you go a little far, maybe you go a little close. All those things
All right.
make it might be completely upside down. You get to decide, and that's how you present it. And it's very interesting when
Exactly.
somebody can really get creative with that and see the opportunities in that, because you take that in life and you sort of become the best problem solver somebody wants to have around them. You know, you become this firefighter type of personality where when something goes wrong, you get creative.
That's it. No panic. You just get creative and you get it done, and then you can say, "I did it." You know, it's something that you didn't let whatever happened stop you. It's just like it may have slowed you down a little bit, but in the end, it just made you stronger. And then you know you have something else to add to your repertoire of skills and things like that.
To the tool list. I've been here before and I know what to do this time. You know, that's learning from our mistakes, or you learn
Right.
from other people's mistakes. History does repeat itself, so if we can avoid certain things, we can. Some things we have to go through ourselves, but at the end of the day, every day in life is something, right? Even with art, like you just said, you know, you had that light missing, you
Mm.
moved forward, and then that shoe came out real smooth.
Exactly. Exactly.
Very nice. And so, Symbolic, what's the future plans for photography this year? What are we looking at? Anything we're coming out with? You must have a lot of content you're sitting on. Are you deciding what you want to do with that? Maybe a book. You know, that'd be kind of cool.
I'm definitely planning a trip to LA for my birthday. My birthday's in June, so I plan on staying in a week and just figuring out what exactly I want to shoot. I know I want to do fashion, but to what extent I'm not very sure about yet. So I'm trying to figure out locations and models and creative direction and all that stuff. Outside of that, I'm just working. I do photography full time, so um, I do a lot of like birthdays and graduations and small branding things for small businesses and things like that. So every day is something new. I may shoot hair one day. I may shoot some dogs another day. I may shoot a 6-month-old baby tomorrow. And then after that, I'll do like some high fashion crazy look. So every day is an adventure.
But that's how you got to look at it. It's an adventure. You have to love what you do, and each and every one is feeding to the craft that you fell in love with. Taking a picture, whether it's a 6-month-old baby or some high fashion thing, there's still a craft to it. There's still something to taking a good photo of what's happening in front of you.
Definitely.
That's awesome, man. All right, you guys, we're coming up after our commercial break. We're going to talk to Symbolic about being the real deal out here. All right, give me 1 second, Elijah. I'm going to fix a lighting thing here. That's really, really awesome, man. You know what? A lot of people are, that you're the real deal when it comes to what you're saying. You're working photographer. A lot of people are not. They don't really do that stuff. They're like, oh, man, at least in Los Angeles, a lot of people do the model shooting thing, but they don't.
Yeah.
They don't have methods of surviving, and it's like if you don't have, you could have one, but then when you have to facilitate the
Right.
other one falls back in some ways, and it's like you got to find that balance because you don't want to get caught slipping when you forgot to feed one over time.
Right. Exactly.
Very nice. All right, you guys. So we're back with Symbolic. That's his artist name, but his name's Elijah. So Elijah, you're the real deal, man. You shoot full time. You take jobs wherever they come, and you find those jobs, and you shoot for a living. You shoot photography for a living. Now, what's that like, man? Well, you must be staying up all night. You're a business owner. You own the business. You're running the operation. You must be pulling all nighters trying to find clients, edit photos. The reality. Walk us through the reality of that.
It's really a non-stop job, and I don't know if it's like that for anybody else, but for me, it's like I could do a shoot right now. I'll go home and review the pictures, send them off, and then not even thinking about the shoot from today. I'm thinking about the next 4 shoots down the line and taxes and how I can improve on what I'm already doing. And then on top of that, finding time to just be a regular person, So like I went through growth periods where I was doing the all-nighters. I was driving 3 hours back and forth. I was shooting from when the sun comes up to the sun comes down. I'm turning around images in less than 24 hours, and it's not healthy. It sounds good to say, I work 24/7 and this is my life, but at the same time, it's like you got to take care of yourself also. So I've been learning to just take, a certain amount of clients at a certain amount of time, doing a certain amount of work for a certain amount of time, and then giving myself the opportunity to breathe and relax and say, okay, you did a lot of work today. You're allowed to take a break now. And then even if I didn't do a lot of work, it's like you're allowed to take care of yourself and slow down a little bit. So that's been the biggest thing for me, besides like actual business math and learning and that type of thing. It's also been how to slow down and just take a break for yourself.
What does that look like for you? How are you able to slow down and take a break and take care of yourself? What does that requirement look like for you? Is it something big, something small? You go for walks, you read books. What does that look like for you? What's your
I watch a lot of documentaries. I get inspired by people's stories. So whether it's like true crime or LeBron James or whoever that started a Fortune 500 company, I watch a lot of those things, and I kind of can pull different things from each documentary to kind of like inspire me to do something different in my business. I also I just go to the gym, and I find myself when I'm supposed to be like taking a break, still looking for inspiration in my work. So I'll read through like GQ and Vogue magazines, and I go on walks every now and again, but I really just try to like step away from my computer completely, like just put the computer in the bag, turn it off, whatever, and just find anything else to do. It's just something that's not work.
something that's not making you access that side of your brain? Because I think what it is that side of the brain is like a gas tank, right? And when it's on full, we hit that reserve tank and it's on E, and then the light's on, and we just keep trying to push that pedal. the quality of work just might not be there. You know what I mean? Even Elon Musk, says he has to get in at least 6 hours because he's found even if he puts in that time, puts in those all-nighters, the quality of work just kind of slows down. So
Exactly.
there's something to refilling that fuel tank.
Exactly.
All right, you guys. So we're back with Symbolic. So Elijah, what are some of your inspirations? You watch documentaries. You say you like to take things in so you can feed into the work later. What are some of your inspirations that you took in, early on, and that you carry on with you pretty actively? We sometimes take some pretty big ones. Are there some big ones, or is it a constant thing? Are you tell me you constantly take in a lot of this inspiration on a daily basis as well. So you take in the environment around you. You take everything you can and use it.
Definitely. Early on, I would say like Michael Jordan has been like this obviously the cliche biggest inspiration for a lot of people. But when I watched the Last Dance documentary, and people know he was a winner and he was tough and all that kind of thing. But when I watched it, it was like you didn't realize how much work that he actually put into what he wants to do. And also in elevating himself, he was able to elevate other people around him. So I would say that's one of the biggest ones. And then also my mentor, Michael Gomez, he owns Westside Studios in Franklin, Tennessee, which is about an hour and a half from here. He gave me an internship in 2015. And at that time, I had no idea what I wanted to do with photography. I wasn't that great at studio lighting. I didn't have a bunch of clients. I wasn't making a lot of money. But he saw something to me that was like, I kind of see where you're going. So I'm just going to give you the opportunity to learn here and have a chance at, making this bigger than what you already have. And so from there, I was a paid intern within a week. He had given me like one or two clients and within my first year. And then after that, he gave me keys to the studio, and I was able to just go into the studio at any time and just shoot and create and just trial and error and just learn and figure things out. And so now I'm like, in his words, he would say, I'm like the poster child of the rest of his interns. Like whenever he talks to his interns about being an intern, he tells them, the way that you do it is you got to be here. You have to put in the work, you got to put in the time. And you also have to be willing to listen to what other people are saying. Because even if let's say I wanted to do fashion and my mentor was a car photographer, just because he's shooting cars doesn't mean that he doesn't have something relevant to say to me about what I could do differently in my line of work. So him giving me that opportunity definitely like kind of opened my mind to wanting to share what I know with other people and also, be a mentor of sorts whenever that time comes for me.
So you're somebody who can take critiques from a personal level pretty well so you can advance your craft. A lot of people don't really take critiques. Like you said, you can shoot a guy who has a car and suddenly he's going to say, hey, maybe you could do this different, and you'll take that in and it really might actually work because he is still a customer. He is still somebody with an opinion.
Right. And it's the critique thing definitely takes time. When I first started shooting, and you just think that you're just not the best, but you just think that your art is your art and nobody can tell you about your art. But then there just comes a time where it's like, okay, if you just listen to what is being said and not taking it in personally, then you'll see like, okay, I could have done that differently. Maybe I didn't want to at that very moment, but what if I did do that differently? Then you go into your next session or whatever it is, and you do that thing differently. And it's like, oh, I see what he was talking about now. Now I can take what I like to do and what I learned how to do and put them together. And now I have this new thing that I didn't even know I could do.
Very nice. Very nice. Is there something recent that happened to you that was similar that you said, you know what, this has happened to me before. I've been here and I know what to do?
I would say I got to shoot CC Winans. She's like a incredible gospel artist from Nashville, and
Very nice.
because
How did you get across that opportunity? Did you
I
message her on Instagram?
no, one of my mentors at the studio got me connected with a guy that owns a advertising agency called Come On Creative, and he called me and was like, "Hey, I have this thing. I don't know if you know the budget will call for it, but I'll let you know in a few days about the shoot." So I've been waiting, and then he finally calls me and says, like a couple days before the shooting, he's like, "Hey, we're gonna shoot CC Winans. I need you to come, bring X amount of backdrops and this and that, whatever." So I come
Wow, you were ready.
and
You had everything ready.
ready to go. Like I didn't need to borrow anything. It's like I had everything. So I'm there and I know what I need to shoot and what I need to do, but because she's famous, it's almost like I put another layer of pressure on myself that I didn't need to. So that entire day, they were doing like a live video in one room, and then I was gonna shoot in the next room. So the whole day, I would just tweak in my light set. Every couple of minutes, I would go and check on it just to see, you know, maybe I should do this differently, and maybe I should do this, and maybe I should do that. Then finally, I was just like, you know what? It's fine. Like you're not even really changing anything. You know what to do. Just leave it alone and let her just walk in and do the thing. So she comes in. I maybe take 2 or 3 test shots, and I show it to her, and she's like, "Wow, I think I'm done already." And I was like, "No, no, no, we have to finish." She's like, "No, I've never had anybody get the shot so soon." And I was like, "Okay, well, let me just get a little bit more so you have content." So we shot for literally 10 minutes. I showed her the makeup artist, and her, I think I want to say her manager, you know, the images, and they were happy. So after that, after the 10 minutes, they're like, we're good. I mean, I wish she said that
10
she would have
minutes.
brought more. Exactly. She said she wished she would have brought more clothes so that we could have done more looks in the time that we had left. But, you know, that, like I said, it's just like being prepared. It's like, I know that I wanted to shoot soft light. I know I wanted to use this amount of, um, of light coming from this side. I know I want to use a brown backdrop. I know how to pose certain poses and certain looks to get what you wanted. So if I just do what I know, it's not gonna take any time, and it's not gonna be so much pressure that I'm mentally putting on myself. So after that was done, I was like, see, I now you know that you could do anything. You did that in 10 minutes, and they were satisfied. So I can't complain.
Look at that. So you were so focused on over representing yourself, and the test shots were more than enough for them. They were like, well, these are great. We don't need anything else.
Exactly.
That's insane, man. That's pretty
Yeah.
awesome that's kind of funny that you didn't even get into the groove of it in many ways for you. You were like, you just warmed up. You were
Yeah.
ready to get into it. You were like, hold on, well, hold on. Let's do a couple
Yeah.
more poses or something. Let's change it up a little bit. 10 minutes in, I
And
just set up the lights.
I definitely told them that. I was like, you know, we could shoot some more. Like I'm here all day. And she's like, no, I think we have it. And you know, once she actually got to see the images and review them, she was like, I want to shoot again. I want to do some more. So I think we're in the works of trying to do something sometime this year. I hope later down the line. But yeah, like I said, it was just one of those moments. I was like, you know, you can do this if you stop thinking so much about what the person that's in front of you or whatever added pressure you're trying to put on yourself. It's just like you already know what to do. Just do it.
Just do it. Just let yourself do it. Sometimes the natural way of doing things that you're so well at doing is the only way to do it. You don't have to overdo it. You don't have to add any extra flavor. The way the recipe to the sauce is the recipe, no need to add anything extra.
Exactly.
People want to know this stuff. A lot of photographers in Los Angeles. You said you're going to come out in LA, and I'm sure you'll get a lot of anybody you need, models and clients, because a lot of people want to shoot with people for sure. And then you go ahead and show me your work, and you'll be able to get that. So that's exciting when you come out here, man. If I can help in any way, you go ahead and reach out, and we'll stay connected, man. But
thank you.
It's been an absolute pleasure, man. You're a cool guy. You got cool style. You're a smooth operator. And,
thank you. I appreciate it. Can I ask you a question?
Go ahead.
How did you come across my Instagram?
I came across your Instagram by the way we find our guests. It's just like, so you photographer, probably filmmaker. Maybe you use like a hashtag for, I look up photographers, I look up filmmakers, I look up musicians, people that basically just people. You're basically, man, I found you because you're on the internet, right? So the way I see it and the way I tell people is, if you want to get discovered, or even if you don't, you're gonna get discovered on the internet. Like, you're gonna get found. You're there. You just happen to, it's like a slot machine, really. It was the right place, right time. You must have posted something at a specific time, and then I found it, and then I said, this is cool work, and I reached out to you. And
That's dope.
absolute by Ransom.
That's cool. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Elijah. All right, Elijah, it's been an absolute pleasure, man. You've got great work. You're a smooth operator. You stay organized and you take care of your work. So let's get you on in the future and go ahead and follow up on what you've cultivated and come out with, man, because I'm sure it's going to be awesome.
Thank you. Yeah, I'd love to be back. Just let me know. I'm ready.
All right, man. All right, Elijah. Take care, brother.
All right. Thank you.